That seems... Oh. There we go. Forgot to turn off the audio monitoring. I'm using a different microphone. I'm not sure if the audio quality is any better. I think this one sounds a bit more echoey, plus it's not focused, so it tends to capture surrounding audio as well. Let me know if the other one's better or not. Let's see what we're gonna be working on. Okay, so I basically been working on allowing certain scripts to run in edit mode in Hazel. And that's kind of what I'm going to be working more on today. So I basically have this interface, iEditor runnable, and any class that inherits from that, or any class that implements that interface is a script that can be executed in edit mode, right? So just like this. You can see we can reference it here even though it's not an entity, and in fact running it will actually go ahead and properly instantiate the script. It's just we're not calling any of these C# functions yet, which I think is going to be the first thing I'm going to be working on today. I'm probably gonna be working on this for like the next few weeks, because there's quite a lot that I need to do in order to have it work properly. For an example, we need to, I'd like to get it to the point where you can actually render some basic I'm GUI elements from C#, maybe by doing like UI button, and this would create a button. But I'm gonna start by trying to make sure we're calling these functions in edit mode. I will say I'm not a fan of onEditor instantiate the name. onEditor render maybe should be on UI render, because it's specifically tied to UI rendering, not say rendering the editor scene. Yeah. On instantiate. Yeah, I'm not sure what this should really be called, because I definitely want like a function that gets called when the script itself is instantiated. So I guess onInstantiate is fine. I can't call this onDestroy is the problem, because I want this to be usable within an entity class. So you should be able to come in here and do iEditor runnable, which is, entity already provides an onDestroy method. And onEditor destroy doesn't sound correct. Also, I'm not sure if this microphone is better than my headphone microphone, because Jan kind of said he prefers the one that I'm using now over my headphone microphone. But I think this one that I'm using sounds a bit echoey. Plus it captures a lot of surrounding sound, whereas this one's very focused and pretty much only captures my voice. So yeah. I don't know. Up, down. That's not, well, because we're shutting down the script. Is being shut down. I don't know. Let's go with that for now. I can always tweak it later. So, I've already set it up so the script kind of works. It's accessible kind of from the engine. The only thing is, so I think in initialize script entity maybe, we should call the uninstantiate one. Because this actually instantiates an instance. Yeah. Let's go with that. So if manage class, we have to actually get the type though. And then we need to check if the type has the correct interface. I think that will work, because this, yeah, that should work. And if we have that, we actually need to call the uninstantiate method now. The question is, should I make that a method thunk? It's Marshall utils. We can basically get a raw function pointer to sort of C# methods. I'm not sure if it's gonna work with interfaces though. I mean, it should technically, I think. Editor runnable on instantiate. Basically, the advantage of managed method thunks over using kind of the traditional way of calling C# functions is you have way less overhead and a lot less kind of error checking. So these calling these instead of the raw functions themselves is far faster to do. let's just see if we can actually get the methods. Because if we can't, that's a problem. Hey. There we go. Okay, it didn't crash at least. Hmm. Would it crash if we can't get it? Yeah, if we can't get it, well, no, because that's an assert, not a verify. So it's possible we failed to get it. I'm just gonna go ahead and do this. If the debug fails. Which will expand to insert. Otherwise, it will be verified. Because I won't check this even if it's in release mode. Okay. I mean, this does seem to work, so I guess it's fine. Even in release mode. Sorry, just having a quick chat with 0x. But either way, we're actually able to get like the methods, so it should be fine for us to just go ahead and call them now. Just gonna write this message real quick. Okay, let's go. So, we're able to get these, and they do in fact work. So in script engine, we need to define a bit of a wrapper here. So please get rid of that one. I added to runnable on its static gate. And we're just gonna steal this. I should probably create like a macro or something like that so we don't have to copy paste this constantly, but I can't be bothered. And the thing is, where managed method thumbs really come in handy is for cases like on UI render or on update, where we're calling it 60 or even 144 times per second. It's not super important when you're dealing with on create and on destroy and that kind of stuff, but still less overhead. Okay, now in here we can call on instantiate, and it would be instance, I believe. Yeah. So let's just see if we do in fact get this. Yeah, I'm using the modern GC handles because we're using the version 2 of the garbage collection system. Which I think is far better compared to using the version 1 sort of integer ID system. What's up, Tony? By the way, do you think this microphone that I'm using now is better than the one I've been using for like the past month? I think it sounds a bit more echoey, but Jan said he prefers this one compared to the headphone microphone that I've been using. Let's give this a test, I guess. I think this one is a bit clearer, but more echoey. Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of what I think as well. Thing is, though, I'm not sure how I can reduce the kind of echo. I don't have any sound panels to kind of reduce audio bouncing. And by the way, is the new V2G stuff just the same code with void pointer handle type? I think they did some other improvements as well, but for the most part, it's just similar code but with void pointer handles. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think Streamlabs has like a plugin. Just get a few sound panel thing to block the sounds from the sides or something. Tim, subscribing. Thank you, man. Also, shouldn't you be sleeping? Well, no, hang on. No, it's just 8 p.m. Sorry. Thank you so much for the subscription, man. Yeah, I probably need to get a few sound panels. I'm not even sure what they would cost. Yeah, baby hour still. I'm not really want to speak. I woke up at like 10, so like 2 hours ago. But yeah, we can actually see that we are in fact instantiating the script. I've seen you. I've seen by you before. I've been seen by you before. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Yeah, so Tim, I'm working on basically letting us run scripts kind of in edit mode. So, some exciting stuff happening. Hopefully we'll be able to like write little editor extensions or things like that, debug panels. Okay. So where do we have shutdown, script entity? So this is where we call on entity destroy. Now the question is, do I actually want these editor scripts to run in play mode as well when you're kind of using the editor? Because right now I think if I open this up, we'll get instantiate here, and if I hit play, we get another one. Just make a copy. Or do we want to make it so that instead of copying those particular scripts, we kind of keep those instances persistent even in play mode, so they're the same instance? That could cause a lot of problems though. Because if you say have an entity, like texture testing here, this will obviously only exist in play mode. But if I give it editor runnable, then we kind of have to copy the instance. Because otherwise you'd be referencing the editor entity. Yeah, I think we're gonna have to make copies, which is not something I want, really. Well, I guess for now we can just make sure we're calling the correct methods at least. So if where did I have that? Initialize script entity. It's this. if we find the empty instance and we have a scene, yada yada, we go and we do this. Do we have managed class? No, we don't. That sucks. Okay, I'm gonna change this up. So we're gonna have a another utility here called is editor script is editor runnable. Yeah, sure. Let's go with that. Okay, that's not what I wanted. I want this code. And then let's just return this. If it's editor runnable, SC. Cool. And then we should get the shutdown call as well. I think I'll make a generalized script engine, and these things are then everything is done by the application. Yeah, I'm actually sort of working on something like that. It's not... Basically, I've started kind of working on a higher level wrapper around mono to make it a lot easier to kind of embed it and actually use it for more complicated things. Because I just kind of felt like it. Also, I have to continue my mono tutorial page, I guess, because Jan mentioned he wanted Jan basically wants what I want, which is for the development of Hazel to kind of provide more information about mono to everyone else who uses it, which is kind of where my thing comes in handy. I think mine is just going to have the mono wrapper and some functionality, but it should not know anything about gain loops or apps or anything. Yeah, that's generally speaking quite a good abstraction, I think. See, we don't get shut down though. Why not? Because this should be called okay, let's just put a breakpoint there. Yeah, no, it's not being called, which is kind of annoying. But first I want to build my moped and be done with that 2-year project. Yeah. Always good to finish the stuff up before starting something new. So why is the entity not being destroyed? It's the shutdown runtime thing? Yeah. But hang on, why have I duplicated this code? It has 2 wheels. Yeah. Progress. Why have I duplicated the code? Isn't it like identical? We call that. And if we destroy the instance, we do this. So this looks pretty much identical. In which case we should be calling... Ah, great. Where is it? Plants and supporting inspectable objects in Hazel. I'm not entirely sure what you mean by that. To have a class and show its field in this inspector, so you mean like being able to say like if I create a some data class and have like a couple of variables here, right? So if I have this and then have a public some data class, my data, you mean have this essentially appear. I think that would be nice to have. It would also require me to essentially support dynamic types in kind of Hazel's internal script engine, and kind of have a way of interfacing that with I'm GUI. It's not impossible for me to do that, but I'm not sure it's worth it right now, at least. It may be something that we want in the future. One thing I definitely want to support is exposing enums. Because that's quite useful. But yeah, right now, yeah, enums are pretty easy. It's just I haven't been bothered doing it. So, I mean, if I do this, then I guess the problem is shutdown script empty actually modifies the map, I think. Yeah. Which could be a problem, unless we iterate backwards here. In which case it would probably be fine. So let's do instance map. We'll do auto it instance map. I think it's like begin or something. Is this how I write the syntax? I can't remember exactly how to do it, but I think that's correct. And this becomes it. Error type. Hey, do we not have an R begin and an R end for maps? It's an unordered map. Maybe it doesn't matter for unordered maps. Yeah. Because how would you I mean, I could just do end and except we need to offset it. Well, actually, one thing I could do is erase basically returns an iterator, I think. Yeah. Meaning if you say iterate over it, you can always, assign the iterator like this. But that won't work because this is the wrong function. Could take it out as an optional parameter, but that's iffy. And I don't want to have duplicated code. Okay, so what does the iterator signature look like? Okay, this doesn't look like the correct header. You know what? I could add an optional boolean to say, like, to control whether or not we actually remove this one. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna have erase from map, which is gonna be true by default. Because this is just, it's not great design, but it's the simplest way of solving this, I think. And then we just do true and false. This will allow me to iterate normally, and then we just do it equals whoops. Grab that as a reference. Instance map, erase. First. There, that should work. But yeah, you definitely need order in order to get in order to do reverse iteration. Probably possible to hack it, but I can't be bothered. You could always like reverse the entire map, but that's bad. Hey? Can you not do this? I remember being able to do it. Oh yeah, it's probably when you erase it by the iterator. Yeah. If you erase by value, it probably returns. No idea what it returns, but. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, now it works. Returns the number of elements removed, I think. Yeah, that's possible. Now, if I remove this, we don't actually get that. Why? Because we should have in scene on destroy, we do shut down script entity. That's mildly annoying. Yeah, that just doesn't get called. Oh, only happens if it's not an editor scene? What? Why? That's one hell of a memory leak. Because that means scripts never get destroyed if you, say, remove them. That is pretty dumb. Yeah. What's the big problem? That works. Should also work if we, yeah. That is, don't know why I did that. Do we have the same thing in prefab? No, we don't. That's weird. Okay. So the question then becomes, where should we call the on-UI render function? Because this matters quite a lot. It has to be called in the context of I'm GUI rendering, right? On I'm GUI render, somewhere in this mess. And I mean, it also sort of depends on, because my kind of idea for this is we can just stick a button in here, right? It's like a click me. And if we do that, you know, we'll have some kind of, you know, functionality here. The question is if we want to say support having entire custom panels, that becomes a bit of an issue. Because if we have, say, just a button, then it needs to exist in some panel provided by the engine. But if you're creating a custom panel, it kind of needs to exist as its own thing. I mean, arguably that shouldn't be UI, it should be like editor UI button. I think for now I'm just gonna make this render I think UI button represents more like a game UI button. Yeah, exactly. That's why I think it should be editor UI. To make it very explicit that it's not game UI. What I could do is inside of the hierarchy panel, we could say that anything rendered in here will be a part of the component rendering for this particular script. And I think that makes a lot of sense. And say in the future, if we want to support making an entirely new panel that you can open, that may have to be its own thing, because that's not really something that should be used with an entity. Whereas this can, an entity can also implement this. I think I like that. Their components. So presumably after we've drawn the regular script fields, we would say, if this is an editor runnable, which I'm starting to not like that name as much. I mean, I would imagine just popping a single entity in the scene and you get an editor window showing up. Yeah. That would be not great, I think. Now this won't work with multi-selection. Although, to be honest, it doesn't actually look like... Oh, okay, hang on. In this version of the engine, we don't have multi-selection yet. Yeah. So, I guess I'll have to worry about that in the future. But for now, what I can do is if script engine is editor runnable, I'm definitely going to change that name. Silly only, thanks for following. Highly appreciated. If this, then we do script engine run git clone and it cuts out. That's awesome. Love it when that stuff happens. Then Marshall utils on UI render. I think I like that. Let's do on UI render. And we don't have access to it. Yeah, so I think we're gonna go with, if you want a brand new editor panel, you'll have to we'll have to have some other way of supporting that if we even want to support it. So now when I click on this, boom, we get that. Cool. Okay. Matterhenge, thank you for following. So I guess what I should do now real quick is start exposing some of the I'm GUI stuff, because, and you know, we'll probably start with like editor UI text. The only problem that I have with this is I think we're going to be copying strings every frame, which isn't great. But if we under editor have editor UI, we may in fact want to put it under, I think it's going to be static class. We may want this to be stay in an editor namespace. But I think if we're prefixing everything with editor, then that shouldn't be necessary. So if we have, say, public static void text, I could just do string text. Although we probably want it to be more like string format, and then trans object args instead. And we essentially want something like this. Do we have some kind of utility clause here? No. Let's add a format utils. We'll make it an internal static. Format. Yeah, let's just call it format. because that means we basically do this instead. I think I need to do the scripting API a lot better if when I start working on Hazel more. Yeah, scripting API is frustrating because there are so many different ways to do it, and all of the like different methods have like obviously advantages and disadvantages. And if you don't get it right, it's gonna be painful later on. Warm. Alright, so we can actually get rid of these. Because in here we're gonna have to do the same kind of thing. If you don't get it right, as in like Unity. I mean, to be fair, I think Unity actually has some decent, like, internally I think it's alright. Obviously, like, they support dynamic component types and stuff like that. But, yeah, Unity's scripting is kind of a bit of a problem sometimes. Now, the question is, do I want a separate internal calls kind of area for editor functions? And I think I do, because we're gonna want those to be kind of doing nothing in like distribution builds. So we obviously have internal calls. We may want a editor internal calls. The basic stuff is fine, but the rest are usually kind of a problem, yeah. Do I really want to do this? I think I'm gonna put it in here. Yes, suffer, Peter, suffer. Believe me, I will. Well, no, to be honest, I think at this point the scripting engine has gotten to the point where I'm able to expand it without suffering too much. Because now I have like the basic functionality and like even more complex functionality in place, so... But there's still probably gonna be some suffering, I imagine. Method info internal editor UI text. And we're gonna have one which just takes in an object value. So that will obviously let you print like physical, like actual instances, which is nice. Yeah, right. Let's just copy that. We have so many internal calls. Have you thought about cutting that file a bit? I have, but it's almost 5,000 lines long. I was originally going to kind of automatically generate it, as well as this file, using like a post build, well, using a tool that would run in kind of a pre-build command that would automatically do some like reflection to generate this kind of stuff, but it just, we basically just decided it wasn't worth it, and now I'm kind of wondering if it would have been, because I mean, it's quite a big file. Like, we may want to restructure it a bit in the future, but I'm not gonna do that now. I'm not signing up for that. It's fine, yeah. There's no problem. Now, the basic gist of it is I effectively want like an if and agent dist here, right, and an else, because I don't want these functions to do anything in a distribution build. Arguably, we should strip all of the symbols from a distribution build. Another one bites the dust. There we go. It's gonna be a pain to maintain this though. I think for now I'm just gonna start by writing like this. And I mean, effectively what this is going to do is do Marshall utils, monostring QTF8. We also actually want to label, now that I think about it. Couldn't I technically pass these guys as ref to make it so we don't copy? But I don't think it does a copy though when it passes it to C++. All you can do is text and a button. Well, I mean, right now you can't do anything. In the future, I definitely want like other input types. So taking text input, taking you know, like I effectively want to expose the majority of these functions, right? Make it easy to make tables and columns, etc. Yeah, definitely. Because I definitely want this to be a very powerful kind of API that you can basically do whatever you want. By the way, Tony, do you know if these strings, do you know if they're gonna be copied or if they're in fact gonna be like a pointer to the C# memory, or just, you know, make C# bindings for the whole line GUI? Yeah, I don't want to do that though, because that would break quite a lot of the styling and extra functionality that we've added. I guess those are shared. Yeah, that would be my assumption. Let's actually have a look and see if the monodocs is going to be useful for once. That would be... I don't know where they have... What's up, Saris? I hope I pronounced that correctly. Where's the documentation for the internal calls? Here. Strings are exposed as... Okay. Result, okay. Yeah, a pointer to the managed heap object. Good. Because that means we're not actually making a copy. Well, in the end, we're gonna end up doing that either way. But it means we won't have to copy twice. So it does seem like they were a bit good about it. Because when we convert it to UTF-8, we do have to copy. Well, we technically don't have to copy, because we could just get the pointer itself. And I assume this doesn't do a copy. But here we actually do a copy. No, we do a mono free, so this has to be a copy. I don't like that. That's... Where did my... Close the page. Yeah, I think it's inevitable we're gonna have to do a copy. I mean, it's editor only, so it's not that big of a deal, but I still don't like it. Text. And what we're gonna be doing is do UI. No, we're just gonna do it on the text, I think. And we can even do a text on a format here. A label doesn't really make sense for text. Unless it's in a grid. You would just have like text. Input text. Just call it text. Yeah, instead of having like a an actual label, I think we don't strictly need that. Yeah. Because you're literally just trying to print some text. That's it. And then we do undo with text formatted. That's it. I guess let's give it a go. Oh, whatever. Reload. Okay. Hopefully this works. Hey! Works. Watch that memory though. I know that's still ticking away. Is that happening? I'm suspicious about this. But I guess we just have that bad of a memory leak. Well, it's not technically a leak, but... Okay, sure. It works. My metal renderer leaked 42 gigabytes of RAM? You kidding? How is that physically possible? I mean, wouldn't your computer just, you know, die? Arc disabled probably, and you basically leak on swatching. Yeah. Still, that's a lot. I guess let's just expose some buttons as well. Like what are the parameters? The label and the size. Okay, that's easy. And we'd have a VLAN vec2 pointer size. Sim will appreciate the memory leak since Hazel may crash at some point. Thing is though, I don't think we have that much allocation and deallocation happening in the legendary branch. I mean, I can give that a quick go. Let's see. Let's grab the physics refactor. Which is based on the LD50 branch. Triliteral, thank you for following. No, actually we do have that. Okay, I guess it's fine then. This needs to return a boolean though. I could do a typecast here. And just to be safe, we do that. And yes, I'm using C-style casts because I prefer those. Even though they're less safe. I just ran out of memory on my Mac. Awesome. Public static. Boom. Button. Screen label. Running through the money, but the money's long. I don't love it, but I need to keep it coming on. Only friendly, me and friends, we don't get along. Size. I put that on my name that I put them on. I put myself on stage and they sing along. I might book a session, do 100 songs. I'ma let you hear them just to prove you wrong. On track, now we go. And if editor UI button, my button. Also, this should you can't do this. Must be a compile time constant. So I can't do this. And we add one. I forgot to register it. That's why having error handling is nice, because we don't actually crash. I would crash that. Totally. I mean, to be fair, if it's an internal call that's missing, then yeah, it should probably crash. But still nice. And now we have a button, and it works. Oh, that's so nice. Should we also expose like grids, like property grid, like we have with these? And basically the idea that I have is, for example, you'll be able to create a button and say some input fields. And if I were to say click this button, you know, you could generate an entity or something dynamically through code. But I mean, this is actually quite powerful, I think, because if I were to go into texture testing, make that inherit from editor runnable, and in on UI render we can do if button apply texture. We could do this, meaning we don't actually need this at all. And then, which one is it? It's script. When I hit play, you know, so you can actually add like editor UI. That's very powerful. I'm actually kind of curious, would that work in edit mode? I don't think it would. I'm pretty sure that would result in problems. Like if I, yeah, we get a null. Which is not super desirable, but whatever. So is there anything kind of immediately that I want to expose before I start working on actually letting editor scripts interface with the editor? Like the scene itself. It would be nice if we could take, say, certain inputs. There's quite a lot that we would have to expose, to be honest. Is camera component on Hazel or predefined entity? It's a component, but we do have it so you can like create a camera entity easily by doing this. All it does is just adds a component. And the editor camera is done very differently, not through an entity. Because my kind of idea is that if you call, say, scene create entity here, and it's an editor scene, you should still create it. How do you fetch position of the camera then for view matrix update? We can get the main camera entity. From the scene, but it's not done in a good way right now because we're just kind of looping through all camera components and checking if it's the primary one. And so we grab that, we then grab the camera component from this entity, which has a camera object in it, which holds all of the data. But yeah, so if I were to have like, if editor UI button create entity, then would be scene create entity with like from C#. I want this to be able to kind of create an entity in the editor scene. That won't work right now. How would a VR headset work with that camera setup, assuming there can only be one main camera? I mean, you'd still have, like, I think most VR games still only have a single camera. It's just they render it to 2 different frame buffers. I could be wrong on that though. Because I mean, if you look at something like Unity, you can still only have one main camera, I think. No, actually. You may only be able to have one tag. I think they render twice with slightly different positions. Yeah, that's probably it. But I mean, still, that's still doable with a single camera. It's just you have to, each frame, you move the camera and render it from one eye, then you move it over to the other one, to the other position, and render it from that point of view. So I mean, it's definitely doable. Not sure if, like, what the performance would be like. But yeah, so if I do this, oh my god, that actually worked. What? You kidding me? I did not think that would work. What? That means this never checks if it's, yeah, no, it just calls scene create entity. Okay. Sure. What's up, Implodey? Implode. Okay, so I guess that works just fine. Would components also work? So if we do long E sound is right. Okay, so it's implode, not implode. But I mean, if I were to add, say, a static mesh component here, would that also work? Yeah. Holy crap. So I was gonna go on this whole journey where I would have to make these functions work in edit mode. But I guess they already do. Holy. What? So if I take in, say, a static mesh here. Would this also work? If I gave it a cube. Create. No. That, well, yeah, it actually. Oh, wow. That's amazing. I mean, there's obviously some stuff that won't work, like raycasting and that sort of stuff. But wow. In theory, you can even instance shape prefabs. You can destroy entities. This opens up quite a few options for running very powerful tools. And it saves me a lot of time. Okay, so I guess all that leaves is exposing our UI stuff. But I think with VR, the rendering is rather a small refactor. Input handling, on the other hand, would probably require a bigger refactor. Yeah, input would be quite a large scale. Well, wouldn't the I mean, obviously you'd have to account for like the actual head movement, but with the control, like the actual controllers, they would probably just register it as an actual controller, and we do have controller support. So I'm not sure input would be that big of a refactor either. It depends on the device. Yeah. Sure, I guess most of this works. So even though OpenXR abstracts a lot, it still depends on the device. Yeah. So I mean, in theory here, I can actually do like, yeah, mouse position, which returns a vector 2. I'm a Valve Index, happy to help with mapping if needed. Thing is though, I don't think we're going to be supporting VR anytime soon. Right now, the way I suspect the plan is that first of all, get everything working with Windows, make it so we can actually make a game on Windows. And then after that, support the Nintendo Switch. And potentially after that, maybe consider supporting VR, because VR is so awesome to make games for. And you need to ensure that your application is in sync with the XR runtime as well as relocate space so you don't get incorrect position from input. Yeah. Okay, I mean, yeah, everything seems to. Okay, I love how the top left corner is actually 8,8 instead of 0. Cool. Sure, let's start exposing some other UI stuff. And you need to implement a boundary system. Yeah, that's quite important. You don't want to walk into walls. I actually had a go at playing the what's it called? The one that's owned by Facebook. Either way, I had an opportunity to actually try that out. Played some like Beat Saber and stuff like that, and it's super fun. Almost threw up though, but whatever. String interpolation. Yeah, I mean this is really just for testing, but we could do that. By the way, Matt, this is on the scripting branch, by the way, but I took your kind of, you obviously changed the log to use like, two functions up here, depending on whether we have parameters or an object value. I basically put those into a format utils, and they simply return a string because we do use them for the editor UI as well here. Okay, what do we need to expose? Well, it would be nice if we could take in some floats, maybe even do like a editor UI. So do we call them property here as well? Because we could have like property and then we have, I don't know, some vector 2, and we do an out parameter. Hang on, so ref means we can write to it, but out means we can reallocate it, right? Never remember. Passing the argument to method as a reference type, yeah, whatever. The out parameter does not pass the property. Ref passing by a reference, yeah, that's the same thing. Or we can say that even if you change it. Okay. So I think in this case, we probably want a ref. Because out means we can sort of do this and get a brand new object, whereas ref, I mean, I think we can still do like this, but yeah. So we want to take it by ref. Cool. And we can do a bool. Will mono be okay if we have like overloaded internal calls? That's a good question. I'm not sure if it would like overloaded methods. But if we take in a label and like a dlm vec2 out, yeah, the question is if mono supports overloading or internal calls. So if I have like the same thing but we're taking a vec3, because I do like overloading. Later on, if you want to add summaries for the things or internal documentation, I have to. Yeah. I think I definitely want to add like documentation to the actual code, like summaries and stuff like that. I did that for this already, but I think the main thing is we're gonna have it in. I think we kind of have to focus on like adding documentation to the docs website, but having it in code is also good, and you can probably take care of that. So I don't think I can do this. I'm gonna have to name these differently in the actual engine side, but C++ side, well, no, C# side, I could probably just have overloaded property methods. Here we may have vec2, like property vec3, because I think it does it by name, not by signature. No, actually, this does accept the signature as well. So I could potentially add another one that takes in like a format, essentially. Now we can do FET. Although it might just be better to name them the exact same thing. Or different things here for clarity. Let's add a vec4 as well. And it's not technically correct to do that, but pull it out. But it's fine. And then in here we'd probably just have their booleans, yeah. Property. Then if we have I think this should work. It might look a bit weird because we don't have property grids exposed. Okay. UI is not. Awesome. Do we not have that? No, we don't. What? None of the 18 overloads could convert all the arguments. Really? That's mildly annoying. Because we do have one which takes it by reference. So maybe this costs it to a const reference. This would work. Right? So maybe if we do a gln back 2. Yeah, I'm not a fan of doing that. That may cause... What? Oh, they actually take C strings. Sure. That feels kind of dumb. Not gonna lie. Should probably take a const string reference. Yeah. That's not working. We're not required to have a property grid, are we? Well, that's awesome. Does GLM belly pointer. Just want to check real quick. If I do this and don't dereference it, we are using a vector. Yeah. Will this work? Or do I maybe have to take it, is it ambiguous? That still didn't work. drag float 3. What? Oh. Because this takes that. Can we do a valid pointer on a pointer? Maybe. Or maybe not. No. Do they have to be out parameters? Is that it? Otherwise this is gonna be painful because it won't work. Yeah, it's just not working. Why? Okay. What if I did something very, very bad? Where we copy this. We do this. If success. Sorry about that. This is so annoying. Yeah, it's not working. But how did I'm GUI? Because I think there's a wrapper for I'm GUI that works with mono. Or something like that. Is the memory layout different? Or is it just something dumb? shouldn't have to do this. We may have to copy it into a buffer C++ side. Yeah. That is a problem. We could track this internally. Right, so we'd allocate a, we'd have to say a buffer in here. Let's say, you know, if not in buffer with like label, we add it. And then we just reference that. How important is it for us to actually be able to do this right now? I'm used that repo auto sync with current time GUI. Yeah, I know it is. It's just I'm just trying to see what they're doing. And they actually use pointers in, but that's different though, because they're binding they're actually calling the native GUI functions. There is a possibility that it's due to the memory layout being different. And that's causing problems. Okay, what if we just do value, say, out value X, right? And to be honest, it wouldn't surprise me that much if the memory layout is different, because we are referencing something directly in managed memory. See, it's still not working though. What if we just do this? I mean, this is bound to work, right? Unless it's an GUI ID issue, which it could be. Yeah, see, it's an GUI ID issue. Because this... Okay, that's good, good. We can fix that. Because that in theory means we can still do this and then just dereference out value. Quick question. If I get rid of all of these and we just do value, then in theory nothing else should be occupying the should like affect the ID. Alright? But it still doesn't work. I definitely think it's an IMGUI ID issue, which is so annoying. It's still not working. And I don't have the IMGUI tools in here. Let's bring up the IMGUI. Pretty much. It's metrics debugger, I think. No, hang on. It's stack tool, I believe. Yeah, you can see the ID, it keeps changing. Which is obviously a problem. Why is it doing that? We're passing the exact same where do we have because it's doing generate oh my god. The problem is this, it should be generate label ID. Is that to do with the IMNS regenerating every frame? So it's not actually an issue with IMGUI. Okay, it's this generate ID thing. Because it relies on the number of elements that have come before the current element and generates an ID from that. But the problem is, because of the way we've written kind of the code, the number of elements can change each frame. And because of that, we end up with different IDs, meaning the IDs are not persistent. I'm just watching and not listening, but it looks like it's not part of the property grid. Yeah, no, that's not it. You gotta listen, man. I think generate label ID with label would work. Except not really, because that does this. Yeah, those functions are not good. Because they rely on the counter. We basically need this to be essentially this is what it has to be. Now I don't know if this will actually work because we're kind of getting a C string from a temporary. so it probably won't work, but it's kind of the gist of it. See, I don't even know who wrote those functions because they don't work all the time. Because now you can see it doesn't change the ID every time, which means it works. Okay. Would the generate label ID also work? No, because it would actually try and display the label. Because we effectively just need this. I'm gonna have to quickly make a note to talk to Jan about that, because we have to fix that now. Because we need it to basically be this for every one of these functions, where the label is effectively an ID. Like, I can understand why he did this, whoever it was, but it's not correct. I'm not gonna go through all of these. I'm just gonna go through the regular property ones. Does C++ not support generics? It does, but we kind of have to have like a lot of well, I mean, it's not generic, it's templates, which we could use, but we kind of have to do like have some special cases for some of these, and the problem is the GUI functions take, well, actually they take the same parameters, but for an example, for GLM vectors, we do need to do GLM value pointer instead of just passing in the object. But we probably could have done it with templates. And I know Jan has been thinking about rewriting this quite a bit, so it's likely that it will be a bit better in the future. So now all of these should just work. And I don't need these. Yeah. Cool. That works. We probably want one that takes a single float as well. It would be nice if I could utilize the kind of overloading of internal call names, because that way, but right, we haven't even. Also, I need to remember that I don't need to close the editor. Forgot to register it. And it works. Okay. Now, we may not want a property grid all the time, because if I bring this code back, it's gonna look really weird. Yeah, I can see nothing really lines up. Well, the first one doesn't line up. So we may want this to have better control over it. Alright, so like inner UI, begin, property, grid. You could even utilize RAII, potentially, by having like a although I don't know how well that works in C#. Alright, we could have like grid, put this in like a scope, and then the finalizer could end it. But to be honest, I think doing this would be just fine. We could potentially call it property group. And I mean, for the sake of not having too many internal calls, I'm just gonna do a single one. and we pass a boolean parameter based on whether we want a propagator or not, or beginner end rather. And there we go. That also means that in scenario panel, we can get rid of those. Because you may or may not want a property grid. Yeah. So now we actually have control over that. Cool. And we can stop logging that. Actually, let's continue logging. Just want to make sure that everything works as intended. Instantiate. If we duplicate, we do instantiate on shutdown, instantiate on shutdown. That seems excessive. It's coming from in here, and we're shutting down that. We don't need to do that if they're the same though. I mean, it's not a big deal. But we're doing that because I mean, even if I go in here and have a if I change this to be 10 to duplicate, we still have the same values, so I guess it's not a big deal. Now why can't I drag this? Wrong window. It's not disabled. To draw field value. It's for float. I suspect it's the min and max. Well, it should be draggable, but it's not, which is interesting. Shouldn't be disabled. Is it disabled? No, I don't think it is. I think it has to do with how we're doing this. Yeah. Whatever. Yeah, because that's not returning true. But that does. Why? Float. Yeah, I'm not sure why. Mildly annoying, but not a huge deal. But yeah, that's pretty much editor UI done. Well, it's obviously not done, but it's the basics. At least. I'm probably gonna work on expanding it to include a bunch of others. Input types and that kind of stuff. Drop downs, definitely want that. To be honest, I did not expect this to go as quickly as it did. So I guess one thing I could do now, just kind of wrap this up, is to make it so these do nothing in dist builds. It could be easily done with if def, if and def. Like that. Now, I don't think these would actually ever be serialized, meaning you can't like set this up as, you know, another way of exposing custom types, but we probably want a separate system to kind of deal with that. Now, can I do say this, we remove a static mesh component. This should work as well, I think. It failed. It's fine by name. Tag? Yeah, tag. So if we create an empty, like custom entity, static mesh, give it a cube, nope, give it that cube, click, yeah, that works, awesome. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and push this, and then I'm probably gonna end the stream. After that, I noticed this system reflection using. Where am I doing that? Yeah, no, I was, basically I was trying to, for some reason I thought that C# never generated a default parameterless constructor, even if you don't provide a custom constructor. And so I was trying to think of a way of generating one, but I then quickly discovered that, yeah, no, it will generate a default parameterless constructor if you don't provide any constructor. So that's what that was about. So we're not planning on using that. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. Yeah, auto generates if not explicitly declared. Lonely Coder, thanks for following. So, okay. What did I do as well? Fixed some fixed undoing ID issue caused with certain property functions caused by the generate ID function. Be gone. Yeah, I mean, that's basically what I did. So go ahead and pick that. Okay. Yeah, so I'm probably gonna go ahead and end the stream here. So I'm probably gonna be streaming, let's see, it's Tuesday today. Thank you for the stream. No problem, Matt. Have a good day. I'm probably gonna stream at least on Thursday, I think. Tomorrow I'm probably gonna not be doing much. So yeah, not sure what time I'll be streaming. Probably around like, Oh, you know what? I'll go ahead and schedule the stream on Twitch, so it will be in local time. But yeah, and you can see my cat right there. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and end. Have a good night, and thank you all for watching. Bye.